In preparing for today's sermon, I decided that I would go up in the attic and look for something. I found everything from Easter bunnies and baskets to Christmas trees, but the thing I was looking for was transformers. Now, 20 years ago, when Billy was just 10, he had a whole bunch of transformers, and they're a hot item again. So I figured if I could find a transformer, I wouldn't have to buy Trip one. I could just give him one of Billy's old transformers, and he'd never know the difference. But Billy must have taken him over to his house, so I decided I would go buy one. And I'm actually going to play with this transformer this morning. So I've already been told that this is one of the, quote, bad ones. Jeff, you want to time me? This says ages 4 and up. Okay. I have no idea of what it's supposed to be, and I just broke that one. Okay. Anybody know, is this right? This is right. Okay, good. Yeah. You know, I don't know what it is. That honestly doesn't look like anything at all. Now, there's a person. So I got a feeling that, Kevin, I don't think you know any more about Transformers than I did. Like I say, it's ages 4 and up, Transformers. Awesome toy. I'm sure I'm going to get a bonus in for that. Now, I did that because, supposedly it just takes a second, a few clicks, twists, and turns, and you've transformed this monster into a vehicle or vice versa. Well, it's not quite that simple, as I just showed you, especially if you don't know what you're transforming. But that's nothing compared to the transformation of a human life. I doubt that there is a person in here who has not worked with someone and prayed that someone would be transformed. And just when you think that it's done, it's back to the old life. I thought as Michael was introducing the worship service this morning, how nice it is when you get saved. 48 years ago. Wow. I wish I had today what I had 48 years ago. That wonderful moment. And I would say this even if my wife were in here. Our marriage is not the same as it was in 1971. Now, the love has changed, and the love has deepened. But there's a little bit of something that's missing. And our Christian lives, the enthusiasm. The worst sinner in this world has the potential to become a saint of God. But the saint of God has the potential to become a sinner. And that's what I want us to focus on this morning and to think about. Simon Peter was one of Jesus' most dedicated disciples. Man, he had an energy level that made Kevin look lethargic. I mean, Simon Peter was out there. He was always talking. When others were getting tired and dropping back, Simon Peter was trudging ahead. He wanted to accomplish the goal. When others said, this is getting risky, Simon Peter was saying, man, I like this. Come and get me, world. I'm standing for Jesus. I mean, he was just one big mass of enthusiasm. And then he fell. Transformed by sin. Maybe you know someone in your office, someone at church. Maybe you're married to a person who has all of that endless energy that Simon Peter had, that dedication, that enthusiasm. And then along comes some sin and everything's gone. And of course, the perfect example is South Carolina's governor. I mean, he was a power broker. And then transformed into the object of ridicule. All by sin. Now, what causes a person who is rock solid in the church? What causes one of God's most dedicated disciples to transform right in God's eyes? Why is it that sometimes we don't have the resolve today that we had 15 or 20 years ago? Our scripture reading, Matthew 16, says, Simon Peter answered Jesus, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, for this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." Jesus said, it's this kind of faith that I will use as the foundation for my church. And you know that every church has to have those people called the pillars of the church. Those people who are there every time the door opens, those people who give sacrificially, those people who do 80% of the work. And Jesus said to Simon Peter, you are one of those people. All you have to do is to maintain the status quo. Now, many of you have lost the status quo as one of God's saints. What happened? What triggered the transformation process? Why are we not as close to the Lord now as we used to be? Well, the first step, and one of the first reasons that I find that people are transformed from the saints that we are, is when we are blessed. Think about it. You know, if you have children, if you give your children too much, man, they're not going to appreciate it. Or sometimes you give a child something and that child becomes selfish. Christians are no different. Sometimes the negative transformation starts with our blessings. Verse 17, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah." You see, Simon Peter was a blessed person. Isaiah, the prophet in 65:23 says that Israel was blessed. He said, "They will be a people blessed by the Lord, they and their descendants with them." Now, what does it mean to be blessed? To be blessed is to be in God's good grace. It is to be surrounded and covered by God's grace. To be blessed is to be filled with God's presence, to know that He indwells us, just as the ancient Israelites believed that God lived in the Holy of Holies. The Holy of Holies in my life is my heart, and I am blessed because I know God lives there. To be blessed is to partake in and manifest God's nature. Now that's blessing. And those two words come together. If we partake of God's nature, we experience His love and His grace and His goodness, then we also manifest those things. We demonstrate God's love and grace and goodness. It's part of who we become.